any community with more than 50 units had to have an STP.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, 7 million people die each year on air quality.
See, that's the problem. That's like a business modeling problem.
No other city has this rule in the world, not just India.
Oh, no.
Why should Bangalore?
One thing developers should do differently.
The one thing I would say is buyers should become conscious.
So where does this tanker water come from?
I think there's a statistic in Western world that 15% higher premium people pay comfortably for sustainable fuel.
Let's say water. Let's say a community wanted to be water independent.
So one other thing is to definitely change their glazing. They should do a little facade analysis.
What is one lesson you have learned from your VCs?
In fact, Bangalore is the recycling capital of the country.
Oh.
There are guys in Jolly Mohalla who would have never seen an Apple phone or a laptop. They know exactly how to tear it apart, take out the copper, take out the gold and ensure it is reused.
So India is committed to having 500 gigawatts of renewable energy.
The argument builders have is, I am selling it and walking out. What do I gain from it?
So if someone had to compare between solar and let's say a windmill, how do you compare that?
You could identify hotspots. You could identify which side of the building is going to gain higher thermal heat gain.
I don't ask the same question to everyone. Sriram, welcome to the PropertyAngel podcast.
Thank you.
As I was telling you earlier, you're already quite popular in our podcast. Your name has come up many times. John Kuruvella mentioned about you, and so did Suhail Rahman of Co-Evolve. I believe he was a customer of yours. Even Saurabh of Potthole Raja has spoken about you. So, we know a little bit about Smarter Dharma. But we wanted to hear it from you. So what does Smarter Dharma do? And from what I understand so far, basically you have a consulting model as well as a platform.
Yeah.
Right?
First of all, thanks to John, Suhail and Saurabh and to you, of course, inviting them here. I hope they all told good stuff only.
Yes, of course. That's why you
No,
are
it's great. It's a great way to share our stories, right? So it's good that they're all good friends.
Yeah.
I had great time working with them. Continue to work with them. Smarter Dharma. Smarter Dharma is today we have we have tech in the front. To simplify what we do, our idea is sustainability is looked at intangibly. So we tangibilize sustainability, make it core to your business. That's the idea. And how do we do is with technology, with consulting. These are all tools ultimately. But what is our aim? Problem we're solving is business decision makers are not empowered. And that's because sustainability is looked at intangible. It's looked at as a CSR. People don't realize it could be part of their core business.
Okay.
And we help that happen. Real estate became the first use case we're working on. And so we work with real estate industry. But down the line, we want to work in every industry. A textile company, FMCG. We should be able to empower the decision maker so that sustainability becomes a core business value. So which means we are saying it can be profitable. We are not asking them to shed their profits. We're just saying that you should figure out the right model to do it, and that's where we come in.
Okay.
That's what do we do.
And what is the revenue model?
So we have technology, we're licensing for the platform, and then additional services. So like a SaaS model, there's additional services under technology, but technology is what helps a builder today make decisions on sustainability for his or her project.
So you work only with the developer, or do you also work on older projects with gated communities and consult with them as to how they can make their communities more sustainable? Yeah,
so funnily we started that.
Oh, okay.
We were initially working with a lot of existing buildings. We still have some revenue happening every once in a while with existing buildings, not residential, commercial.
Okay.
Residential, what happens is, how we narrowed down is critical, right? When I started, the idea was we'll work in urban, and the problem statement in India was too complex. The learning was you can't come and start talking the language of carbon. I learned carbon. I came to India with that. Let me start talking the language of carbon. But then I realized you could be a 600 crore company which will come and say, carbon is carbon. I have water issue. I have energy issue. I don't know what to do with my waste. So one quick learning for me was de-learn what I learned in the US. And I say that I'm going to talk the language of resources. From there come to carbon. So we started talking energy, water, waste, started talking about resource efficiency and roll it up to get carbon. So that's how we started working, right? Then as we started doing this for any kind of business, textile company, restaurant chain, hotel chain, we worked with different kinds. In an understanding of their business layout, we started seeing buildings as standing out. And so we started understanding that buildings are a big impact area. In fact, of the top four highest greenhouse gas emitting industries, which is energy, agriculture, transportation, and buildings, buildings they are second or third depending on different parameters. But unlike the other three, buildings have the highest mitigation potential for the least capital.
Oh, okay.
Because a building lives for 53 years.
Yeah,
You design it well, you spend a little extra capital, 6 to 7% extra capital, build it more sustainably. For 55 years, you can reap the benefit of it. But if you build it unsustainably, for 55 years, you have the negative, more carbon, emitted, more inefficiencies in water. So for us, by 15, 16, we started realizing buildings are critical. And then we double click further down, we started understanding that if you want to make an impact on a building like this building of yours where your office is, the cement, steel, concrete, it's all done. Glass, it's all done. For me to change that overnight, it's not going to happen, right? Whereas if you get into design stage, I can influence all that. So hence we double clicked on. So that's how we narrowed down to say we'll work with real estate developers at design stage.
So then are you also working with existing buildings or you've completely stopped that now?
Yeah, so existing commercial buildings, we do quite a bit of work. We don't really do sales. People here and call us and we do work with them. Our aim is right now, our outbound sales is actively towards new buildings. So that's the highest impact. And also revenue wise, it makes sense to us. But our platform is going to start supporting existing buildings also towards the later end of this year.
Only commercial buildings or residential as well?
So residential is a tricky thing, yeah. So the amount of change you can do is not much. They're coming with very, very specific problems. Quite honestly, cracking the revenue model for Smarter Dharma with existing apartments or residential communities is a lot more tougher. So we are trying to have a model of a freemium model where we'll give them the basic platform for free. And that should work. So we do want to solve their problems. To make it viable for us was tricky, but and so we realized we'll not look at profitability there. We'll just give a platform for them. So
let's talk about that here. Let's say that there are some existing communities listening to us. So let's take water, energy, waste, and let's just discuss what can be done for each of these, right? So let's say water. Let's say a community wanted to be water independent.
I can shout out to one thing though. There's something called BAF. BAF is the Bangalore Apartment Federation, which is the only one of its kind in India. No city has no city has such a good, such a big, such a well politically supported organization or union, whatever we call it, for apartment communities. So BAF is a fantastic one. I've been advising them on an individual capacity. They have incredible assets for any apartment community in Bangalore. I mean, imagine there are more than 1,600 communities, annual registered paying members of the community.
Wow.
And both the political parties, last year we had election, last year election time, on the manifesto mentioned BAF. They said that they'll work with BAF. And DK Shivkumar, to his credit, has been actively working with the BAF leadership.
Interesting.
So it's fantastic, right? So they are saying we are here to solve Bangalore apartment problems. Recently, a ruling which has come out from sustainability is not a great thing, but they're listening to the BAF members and approving things. I can explain that in detail. But to answer your question, right? So first, BAF has fantastic assets. I would recommend any apartment to go check out there. Now, specifically, water being the big topic right now, right? And we're drying up. It's funny. I think by the time we even take enough action about drying up, floods will start. Bangalore will go into water. So on water efficiency, right? I mean, again, government has been talking a lot, yet the adoption has not been strong enough. Is get aerators. I would request everybody who's listening to say, let's get an aerator and become efficient in water consumption. Just to give you some numbers, right? National Building Code says a guideline is 135 liters per person per day should be the amount of water we should use. Right from when we brush your teeth all the way till end of the day, right? All your requirement per person should be 135 LPCD as we call it. UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, comes, studies India's challenges and all that. It says, look, tier 1 city should not go beyond 125. Now, the average across the city, if you go to places like Whitefield, we are talking about 170. If you go to old parts of Bangalore, like Basveshwar Nagar, Vidyaranapura, old parts of Jayanagar, they are in the range of 85, 90. And I'll give you example. I'll go very detailed. Right? Why I'm talking about this so much is efficiency in water has to come from consumption. You got
Okay.
to reduce your consumption. All the other things are how well you handle the water. But if you consume lesser, everything else can fall into place.
Okay.
So if you take a shower, right,
Hmm.
all of them, sure, today morning under shower, normal in my previous avatar, if I knew I had a podcast today, under the shower, I'd be thinking, what are the questions Apne will ask? How will I answer them? I mean, literally, you
Yeah.
plan your day there, right?
Yeah.
10 minutes shower average, and average shower head, which is not as efficient as it can be, but not super inefficient, not a rain shower, is 7 liters per minute. So you're taking 70 liters of water in just your shower.
Wow.
Now, if you look at your 135, it's gone there only most of it.
Yeah.
Then, 4 times you flush, that's 6 liters gone, that's 6 4 24. Boom, your 100 liters is done there. How much do you have to drink? How much do you have to cook? How much do you have to brush, wash hands, everything else? So that's how they cross. And then if you start having slightly more fancier rain showers, we have known showers at 19 liters per minute also. So I'm just telling you that the first thing anybody can do is work on that. Second, as a buyer,
So sorry, why is the old Bangalore consumption less? Because
They
they
take
don't do
bucket water.
they take bucket. Yeah. Okay.
I moved to that. I'm
Okay.
like fully on bucket water now. As much I told my wife, this is my negative. She said, no, you can't. So it's been a year now. I also take bucket water.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you save water. You
Yeah.
can see that happening firsthand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
measured hours. We are in the range of 110 liters per
Okay.
person per day. So you can actually come down.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you do that well enough, the rest of it is not an issue. Another number I'll throw for you. Bangalore needs in the range of 1400 MLD, which is million liters daily.
Okay.
We get about 800 odd MLD from Rishabhavati and Kaveri every day.
Okay.
So 650 MLD we have to get from here in the city. Where does it come from? Borewell, which is groundwater / rainwater, and post-treated sewage water. With those, we have to fill nearly 50% of our need. Now, given a roadmap that is today with a population of about 13.8, 13.9 million, by 2030 we're going to become 20 million city, 2031 April.
Yeah.
So 1 million more will come every year. If that growth, there is, no matter how much you do all this, you have to start talking about efficiencies. So the number one thing we can all do is get efficient fixtures which will reduce your water consumption. Can we aim for under 100? We should have a hashtag saying 100 LPCD, and Bangalore whole city should be 100 LPCD city. Will make a massive difference. That I would think is the number one thing everybody and anybody should do.
So out of this, how much is post sewage treated water that we?
I think recently BTWSSB announced that also, right? We have close to 500 MLD of post-treated water available. We don't use it much. If you go to Singapore today or Japan today, that post-treated sewage water is made potable. You drink that water. If you travel there, you're essentially drinking sewage water.
Yeah, even Suhail had mentioned that.
Yeah, in Suhail's project we did it, and the manager of the resident welfare association drank it. He himself
drank it. I know.
Made a video and sent it to us. Right, he was very happy.
Yeah.
In fact, I tell you one more thing. So that project, just shout out to Suhail and CNS, is last month when Bangalore was really no water. Even this month, that guy called and said, "Look, my neighbors are buying 10 tankers a day. We are only buying 2 tankers a day." The manager just called and said, "Thank you for your design.
Oh, okay.
You guys have helped us buy lesser tank or whatever. Our maintenance cost is not skyrocketed." Why? Because there we made them do that. There are about 4 projects in Bangalore. We know 3 or our own client. One who's not somebody we work with, but they did it, where they've converted sewage water into potable water, which is the next big step we should do. We should all be open to the idea that if we got to trust the treatment technology, which is a big headache in India. We don't trust it. We got to get out of this mental stigma that you can't drink that water. If you address those two, we will then become a water positive city.
Okay.
We should drink that sewage water. If not drink it, make it portable enough to use it for hand wash, everything else.
Yeah.
You want to drink water, use rainwater to drink.
Yeah.
That kind of a logic. And that's what we do for our clients. And if we do these 3 things, I think you're fine.
So where does this tanker water come from?
Tanker water, government approved some borewells are there. They allow them to pick from some places.
Okay.
Now new companies are coming in saying that I will take water and treat it. They can't take sewage water.
Okay.
Post-treated water, which is let out extra, they treat it. So a bunch of these sources, water comes. Is it ready to drink? No. That's why you need to RO.
Okay.
But it's at least enough where it is under the Karnataka Pollution Control Board's norms of under 20 BOD, COD. They meet all those mandates, which is good. So tanker water is good, but it's coming from. So if you're willing to make tanker water potable, you're not too far from making sewage water potable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, how do you know? You don't even know where the tanker water is coming from, really,
Yeah,
right?
but
I
you're
mean, how do
ROing
you?
it, right? So nobody cares.
Yeah, but you can
So
RO any water for
you
that
can RO
matter.
any
You
water.
can,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's what we tell folks, that get your STP, treat it, post treatment water, RO it, then that's as good as. So the trouble in India is we don't trust the technology, right? Somehow the stigma is enforced with the idea of lack of trust in technology.
But you can simply have metrics on how you test the water, right?
Yeah,
So,
there are
like, if
metrics.
you wanted to test water and you wanted to compare the quality of, let's say, tanker water or your post STP treated water, how would you compare that?
In fact, it's so good that our very first client, right, that hospital I told you, Dr. Sunita, in Whitefield, she, one of the things we did there was, and it started in a very different way. Um, if you go and get a health checkup done, they, one of the things for your ultrasound is they'll make you drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Right. And so any hospital, the biggest or smallest, they'll have these plastic cups, and you'll go fill it every few minutes, drink some more water, and you'll throw that. Not in 1% of them will think, I'm going to drink some more water, I'll keep this plastic cup. Right? They'll throw it. So we wanted to address the plastic issue, and we started thinking about what to do. Then it struck us that, oh, but by the way, this water is all coming bought water. And then our other design where we started saving a lot of post-treated and rainwater, we had excess. So we connected the dots.
Okay.
We treated the water, RO'd it,
Okay.
and we tried to make the patients drink, which they were scared. Then we asked the doctors to drink and told them, you start telling the patients. And you put the signage. See, to me, a very fundamental thesis for me personally, Smarter Dharma, is more often than not, if you present the right information, folks will make a right choice.
Yeah.
It's just that we're not empowering the decision maker with the right information.
Yeah.
So we started putting a lot of information about that water. And RxDX today saves, and it's not a big place, right? They save about 1.4 lakhs per year because they don't buy fresh water, they use the treated water. They don't buy, and they move from plastic to paper, etc.
Okay.
So it is proven. This is 2015 story.
So how many communities today in Bangalore would be actually using the post-treated water?
All the communities, or not all, a large number of communities, I don't have the exact number, but large number of communities today use the post-treated water for landscaping, their flush tanks, car maintenance, car wash, common area cleaning, they use that. They're just not taking the next step. So one of the things we're doing with builders, with Brigade, great example, what Brigade's really, and 2019 she approved, I mean, Brigade's leadership approved us to move ahead with this design is, the idea was customer stigma, right? So we convinced her saying, let's have space set aside. We give triple plumbing where post-treated, STP treated water, if a pipe has to come into the kitchen, where down the line they want to have potable water from sewage, they spent all that extra money to set up the extra piping, extra fixture, space aside, which they could have used for anything else. So the community, when they are ready, they could set up an RO system. Everything is connected. They have to just connect the two pipes, it will work, right? So community builders are willing to do. Communities are already using the water till there. It's just setting up an extra RO system. You can certainly drink that water. And that will be the future. The difference is, are you willing to be a trendsetter or are you going to follow the law?
Yeah. Anything else that a community can do?
They don't, rainwater, the problem I see with a lot of older communities is they just harvest the ground.
They always, sorry?
They just, they dig deep and leave the ground rainwater, right? And I'm saying that should be step 2. Step 1 is capture the water, reuse it. Rainwater is the purest form.
Yeah.
You just have to spend a little extra to build a tank, store the water and reuse it.
Yeah.
We don't do that because Bangalore, traditionally, all the older builders, old buildings would, Bangalore is a lot of water, we just recharge the ground, that's sufficient. Groundwater recharge doesn't guarantee you will get water. I mean, as a city overall, over a period of time, if the groundwater is recharged well enough, all of us will have water. That's expecting a lot, and still your rainwater will go down, it will recharge, and your borewell will someday pull the water back up. Why do you want that whole extra cycle? As soon as you capture it, store it within your community and reuse the water. And that's the other thing they should do. I think if we do these 3, start with efficiency. I'll reiterate: efficient water consumption, reusing treated water, rainwater, storing, not recharging. Store it and excess you recharge.
So when you say harvesting, that is recharging.
Yeah, because when they do harvest, and you're right, and it's a great point you said, right? The policy is not strong enough.
Yeah.
Policy says recharge. It doesn't mandate if you're of this size. For example, the way policy should be is you have a 5-acre piece of land, you're building 800 apartments, your consumption is XYZ. If I know all that, while they approve the project, they should say, you should prove to me that 70% of the rainwater you're capturing and reusing.
Okay.
Only 30% you should recharge, right?
Okay.
They should put those guidelines, and that is what one of the core aims Smarter Dharma has is
Okay.
we will have enough data. Every product, if it's designed by us, we know building information. I want to sit with the BDAs of the world, BWSSBs of the world,
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
showing this and say,
Yeah. Absolutely.
there's a data. So,
Yeah.
for example, Suhail's CNS project, we have data that consumption average is about 100 liters per person. So, if you are able to prove that 100 liters per person per day is possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
then imagine your overall tank requirement sizes go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your STP size will go down.
Yeah.
You're saving concrete. You're saving money for the builder.
Yeah.
So, if you think holistically, you're actually saving money.
Absolutely.
Why do we have in mind that it's expensive?
Yeah.
We saw 6 rupees 50 paise saving per square feet in that project when we designed.
He was telling us. Yeah. So what does the current policy say?
So policy doesn't mandate. They'll say that they still take 135 LPCT with a 10% buffer for all the sizing.
Okay.
So they'll say STP has to be based on the fact that you're consuming about 150 liters and 65% would be sewage, right?
Okay.
But it needn't be. There's enough proof because your flush tank has become efficient, your overall consumption is reduced. STP size can come down by about 15-20%. So they should update those policies. Second,
but rainwater harvesting, they don't have a policy.
So they have a policy for rainwater which says that if you have this size, this should be. If your land is this size, I forget the exact number.
Okay.
But if you have a 5-acre land, for example, then they have an algorithm to be able to calculate how much could be the water captured. But they have a very easy thing to saying this much water you should capture. It doesn't say how much you reuse.
Got it.
So the calculation of how much to capture is there.
Yeah.
You have to prove that this much is captured, which is okay.
Yeah.
But if they don't mandate the reuse, nobody wants to spend that extra money to put the tank.
Yeah, absolutely. So last month there was a change in Karnataka law, right? Because before that it said that, I think in 2016 we had this law that was passed that said that any community with more than 50 units had to have an STP.
20 units.
20 units.
More than 20 units should have an STP.
And that got changed last month to 120 units after lobbying by the BAF that we were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is what I said, I'm not very happy with. I would talk to them.
Yeah.
So I understand their issue also. I mean, they're both sides. From a systematic point of view, it's not a great idea at all.
What's not a great idea? To increase that limit.
Yeah. Because what
But do you think what they were saying was right? That it's not viable if it's less than 120 units. I mean, that was their...
That's their argument, right?
Yeah.
That's because, and that's why I said I understand their side. That's because the technology is dated, old technology.
Okay.
It's an expensive technology.
Okay.
Expensive also from operating it. That's the first problem. The number of people available to manage it and run it are much lesser. When communities, when an STP stops working, they're scrounging around the city to find somebody who will help you fix it.
Okay.
So that's why they don't want to do. Their arguments are no other city in the world has it. That's I mean, that doesn't make a lot of things.
No other city has this
sort of city of this size, this kind.
Okay.
So Bangalore is 3,560 STPs of this apartment, right? So they're saying no other city has this rule in the world, not just India.
Oh, no.
Why should Bangalore apartment, why are we penalized for that? What they're not understanding is by doing that, your destiny is in your hands, your water is in your hands. BTWSSB is openly saying, I can't do anything about it. They can't. The city is developing way faster than that. So the true answer is they should not approve so many apartments.
Exactly.
Right? But they're approving. Which is why I said they don't have data to know what is the impact. Like how can you approve a new project on Whitefield Main Road when that place is already so jam-packed?
I mean, it is their responsibility to give us water, right? I mean, that's a government's responsibility. You can't say that, hey, you know what, I don't know, figure out water. You can
that you figure out, we'll approve. How can that happen? Right?
Exactly.
So they're doing that. Builders are doing it. Buyers are buying. So the one thing I would say is buyers should become conscious. The fastest and the most effective trigger would be buyers is, how can you guarantee water for me? Is your design going to tell me I'll have water always? If they start asking this question, first, second, third, fifth builder will start thinking, okay, I have to be conscious about it. And can we be an influencer? buyer can be an influencer.
So what happens? So then STP can either the water can be recycled back into the community, and if it is not, then what happens to the water?
That's the next problem, right? So our case, Karnataka Pollution Control Board and most of the country does not allow you to. So the two laws. First law is the 20-120 thing, right? So essentially, government is saying that you are responsible for your sewage water. They are saying untreated water you cannot leave out.
Okay.
BWSSB says I will not handle it. So now anything under 120, suddenly it's become BWSSB's responsibility to treat with the STP sewage.
Yeah.
Which means we have to set up massive infrastructure around the city, which I mean traditionally we are not good at it. When we had it at 20 itself, Vartur, Belandur were burning, I mean, fire in the lake because of the pollution. Why? Because untreated or not well treated water was going into these lakes. Now, if you imagine what will happen, right?
Yeah.
You are expecting, the city is expecting BWSSB to suddenly pull up its socks, which they can't. So untreated water is left, which is leading to all this pollution. In fact, it is even more dangerous health-wise for the city because there will be an increase of water contaminant related health issues. People who cannot access, it's getting more expensive. How many people are heating the water? Already there was a cholera fear last month because water scarcity. People are drinking untreated water. So by now, the owners from the apartments to the government, that chances will go up rather than come down. But if you, and rather than think of it like a, and I'm going to reiterate this. The guy who was working on that, Mr. Satish, is a good friend of mine.
Okay.
So even I had a discussion with Satish. Satish's point is, Sriram, we have to handle it. It's unfair because the technology is bad. I would say government should sit with them rather than spend the money on setting up a bigger STP and treating and taking all the other headache which our taxpayer money has to pay. They go to this apartment, say, we'll work with you. Your STPs will improve. We'll give you incentive. We'll work out a model where this will work. We'll support you. So the decentralization is the best way to be sustainable. Centralizing is not going to work out.
But why does the government have to work with them? I mean, they can just
I mean, I'm saying
there
if the
is,
government wants to do this, they are
they
complaining,
can do
somebody
that
has to do,
instead
right?
of,
If not government, some private entity
But
should step up.
there are better technologies around. I mean,
There
Eco
are.
STP had come up a few
EcoStream is a
times.
phenomenal. 5 years ago, they were new. Now they're the most established natural STP company in the country, I would say. And they have a fantastic story. We rarely have failures there. More and more of our clients are taking them. BAF people swear by it. Any new community, they do take it. They like it.
Okay.
But their argument is old STP, SBR, MBR are having challenges, which is true.
Yeah.
It's expensive to run it.
Okay. It
So
is
move
expensive
to a natural one. Move to a natural one. Figure out, spend that extra capital one time and do it. That is the approach, not getting us away from. In that sense, we should all not have UPS at our houses. We should just believe that Bescom will always give me power. Do we? We cannot.
We
So
cannot
why
do
are we
that.
moving away on water, which is such an important resource?
So let's talk about garbage, right? What's the solution you recommend? Do you recommend a composting solution for any community that you work with? Or?
And I'll again give you the slightly longer answer. Is Bangalore is a phenomenal city because they came up, they thought so well. We worked in 12-13 a lot with the government when the 2 bin 2 bag idea, we did that whole Kasarasa event and all, where the idea that wet waste has to be handled by the communities. These laws came out organically. So government came with a definition of bulk generator. Bulk generator. Any community more than 20 apartments or houses should handle their own solid waste, should handle their own sewage. That's how the sewage and this had come, right? Now they're saying wet waste you handle. They're saying we just don't have enough space because we don't want to dump and create landfills around. So we want to, you should handle it. It's your responsibility.
That is for how? What size of community?
20 and above.
20 and above should handle. Okay.
Now that has become 50.
Oh, that has become 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing with that is, you decentralize is another example of decentralization is the right way. There are enough cities do around centralized. I will give you an example of a much smaller city, but I was invited by a town called Miyoshi in Japan for a day. And mayor, I met him and then he invited me. I spent a whole day. They took me around nicely with a translator and all. They took me. I went to their solid waste management, right? For 33 years, the gentleman who runs there, every 3 weeks he goes to precinct, talks for 45 minutes about segregation. They segregate 8 types. Their segregation at source is 94.5%.
Yeah.
At source, 94.5. Compared to other cities in Japan, it is a greener city. In my life of traveling around, there's no city as green as that city. You walk into the waste handling center without your slippers on, that clean it is.
Wow. Yeah.
So why? Because they took time to segregate at source. Now in Bangalore, we had this idea.
There's a law, in fact, that says that you have to segregate at source.
Yes, you have to
So
segregate
I'm
at source.
wondering, because in my own house I segregate, but the person who comes to collect the garbage will again put it all together.
They
You
don't
know?
necessarily. That
Huh.
person, that Purakarmika might not have done it. The law is actually very strong. One of the best in, I would say, Bangalore's laws on waste management, one of the best in the world. They're
Yeah.
very forward thinking. They've thought really well. As with anything in India, implementation challenges are there.
Okay.
But so you have to segregate into 5 types at your house, and it's not difficult
Yeah.
to do, right?
Yeah.
Dry waste, wet waste, sanitary waste, hazardous waste, and electronic waste.
Yeah.
If you do these 5, then government will take care. And look at how we thought, right? We thought that 198 wards are there. Each ward will have something called DWCC, which is Dry Waste Collection Center.
Okay.
At the DWCC, secondary and tertiary segregation of your dry waste happens. It is segregated into 119 types.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. Plastic of certain kind,
Oh.
syringes or safety pins, ceramics, everything is segregated, and each of these go to certain specific. In fact, Bangalore is a recycling capital of the country.
Oh.
There are guys in Jolly Mohalla who would have never seen an Apple phone or a laptop. They know exactly how to tear it apart, take out the copper, take out the gold, and ensure
Wow.
it is reused.
Okay.
But everything depends on if you are segregating. So the one thing we should all do without fail and the right way is we segregate at source at home. You order some food outside, you get sambar in a plastic cover. You just have to take that little extra effort to wash that plastic cover, then it'll get recycled. Bangalore is the best place in the country for that. The laws are very good. Paurakarmikas are mixing is our monitoring flaw. Actually, it's the first city in the country where, as a citizen, let's say I'm your neighbor, and if I didn't segregate, and if you see when you're putting your bag out, and that push cart comes to your house, and you see, you can take a picture and complain. BBMP will come and find me.
Oh,
There's
really?
no other city in the country where citizen policing is
Wow.
allowed. We
Okay.
have the citizen policing. There was even originally an app built, but then that didn't take off. But built by another company we know, because we worked on that. So I also know that the policy is
Okay.
there.
Okay. But then so many apartments have this issue, smaller apartments where garbage is not collected
Yeah.
and they're asking for money to collect the
Yeah.
garbage. Is that because they're not segregating? And if they would segregate, then that would not be an issue?
So
I mean,
there have
what's the
been
garbage mafia? I mean, what's the economics of the garbage
that's
mafia?
the whole headache, right?
Yeah.
It's a mafia is there.
Okay.
The monitoring government should step in and monitor it.
Yeah.
So the Paurakarmika is instructed that if you don't see segregation, don't pick it up.
Okay.
They are trained that way,
Okay.
and they are paid. They don't need money from us, but they come ask. We all give money, right? They are not supposed to. And your wet waste for under 50 units is government. They're saying segregate and give it to us. We'll take care of the wet waste. We'll take care of the dry waste. But you can compost. Composting is an easy thing. Since 2006, we have composted. My house, my wife and I have never sent wet waste out from there.
Okay.
So now 18 years we've been doing, right?
Yeah.
It's not difficult at all. And you can use it in your gardening, your community's gardening. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
Again, Bangalore is one of the best. There's something called SWMRT. I would recommend you to bring them on
SW?
MRT,
Okay.
Solid Waste Management Roundtable.
Okay.
There's one lady, Miss Vani Murthy.
Okay.
She, Dr. Meenakshi Bharat, Sandhya, these are all, and there's some names I'm forgetting, but they are the founders of this. It's an incredible organization. When I came to India, when I was I was trying to start Smarter Dharma, meeting like-minded folks. The first person connected to me was Dr. Meenakshi. And you should invite Vani to speak. Vani has, UN actually came interviewed Vani.
Wow.
Vani
Okay.
has this incredible terrace garden. She grows, she takes your toothbrush ka dabba, the plastic one, and grows plants in that also.
Wow.
Nothing
Okay.
is waste in her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Bangalore has enough examples and maturity on waste management.
Yeah.
The thing I would say to anybody is segregated source.
You're working with a developer. They all have composting solutions.
It's a law.
That's a law.
It's a law, and everybody, small, big builders don't balk it. They don't go back on that.
Okay.
They do it.
Okay. So let's talk about energy now, right? So I mean, what are the options? There is solar and there is windmills.
Yeah, but again, same thing, right? Like everything, there's a decentralized part. There's a as a resident, you can do two things. As a tenant, you could bring efficiency into the way you live.
Okay.
And if you do that, your consumption requirement will go down. Many times, what we are doing is, and we have had clients who come and tell us also, let's get solar. And what we tell them is, hold on, and we have numbers to prove, right?
Okay.
One guy wanted 200 kV solar based on as is their energy consumption. But then we found a way over a couple of years of not putting too much capital, hardly any capital, but making changes in the way they run their business.
Okay.
Brought that down from 200 to about 165, 170.
Okay.
So you save that capex because you can bring in efficiency.
Yeah.
By just putting solar panels on top, running an inefficient business is of no use. I
Okay.
mean, we don't run our businesses like that, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
fix our efficiencies.
Yeah.
But in operating on energy, we don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
there are multiple levers on that. You should run an AC at 23, 24 degrees. You should never run it under that.
Okay.
Because for every degree reduction or where you run your AC higher, your energy consumption goes up by 4%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the idea is your comfort zone is 24, 25 actually. 25, people even put at 26, but let's say 24, 25.
Yeah.
By putting at 18, 19, 20, you're anyway in 10 minutes, you're going to say, I'm cold. Right? So 24, 25, if you keep it, you are saving money. You're not running it to the ground, and it's better.
Yeah.
There are some then very fine grained things. Have fan where you have an AC. Old school thinking.
Have a
grew up
fan where you haven't AC.
Yeah, I
Many
grew up
people say,
thinking
okay,
not.
AC is on, now put the fan off. I mean,
Yeah, but then one scientist in Carrier air conditioner told me.
Yeah.
He said, run your fan, Sriram. That way your AC. Essentially, what will happen is the fan will ensure the cooler is in the room,
circulated.
and the temperature of the room falls very quickly. Your thermostat kicks in, and you'll save energy, save money.
Yeah.
Right. So there are a lot of these small things to do. Then residential buildings. Just getting to real estate industry. They don't do facade analysis. It's kind of like your glass I spoke.
Yeah.
If you do facade analysis of a building at design stage, you could figure out which orientation and all. Basically, architects do it to a degree. But residential, they think it's not important. But you could identify hotspots. You could identify which side of the building is going to gain higher thermal heat gain, and what can I do about it at design stage.
Okay.
Then the thermal heat gain of the building, if it falls by 3-4 degrees, everything else for a tenant is efficient. The argument builders have is, I'm selling it and walking out. What do I gain from it?
See, that's a problem. That's like a business modeling problem.
And that's a business exactly. It's a business modeling problem. It's not a.
It's like a warranty. I've built a building and now I have a warranty for 53 years or whatever. Any waterproofing requirement, I come back amongst other things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a business model. You can, because we're anyway paying maintenance. It could be paid to the developer.
So some of the smart big developers have their own maintenance companies.
Yeah, but very few actually.
Yeah. So they don't need to all go there, right? They can find those same guys to work with.
Yeah.
The point is, it's proven.
Yeah.
We ourselves have data of our own clients where they've seen value saving. We have seen maintenance costs go down by 30-35% if you build sustainably.
Yeah.
So use that to your advantage, make it your USP, sell at higher price.
But let's say you have not built it that way. Let's talk about an older community, right?
Yeah.
What can they do?
So one other thing is to definitely change the glazing. They should do a little facade analysis.
Okay.
If it's west facing wall anywhere in the world, it takes all the heat of the. So that you should change the glass.
Okay.
Put a sajja, just close it by curtains.
Okay.
Then the heat gain is reduced.
Okay.
That heat gain will remain inside, and then depending on the kind of lighting, kind of flooring, some floor reflect that and it goes around the building. So you don't want to do that.
So what's a good flooring?
Carpet is a good one. It will absorb and leave it.
Okay.
So certain such things you can do.
Yeah.
But changing the facade is a very important thing.
Okay.
Then there are these cool roof solutions.
Yeah.
There are tiles, there are paints, there are layers. You could have a rooftop garden that will absorb.
Okay.
But on the wall, now there are new technologies where your glass actually is a solar panel.
Yeah.
That will absorb this. But these are expensive. They're not yet available in India. You have to import from San Diego. Somebody in Germany are there. So such things are there.
Okay.
Also, the external wall you can paint with a high, what is called as high SRI, solar reflective index paints.
Okay.
These paints reflect. They can see a difference of 2 to 3 degrees.
Okay.
So that coupled with your thermal heat gain from the roof, all this will reduce the heat in the building.
Okay.
And then the kind of walls, so the construction of the wall itself has to change, but that you can't existing building you can't do, right?
Yeah.
For new builders, that's why Maiwan, which is such a popular thing, has a negative because it has thermal heat gain is higher in those buildings.
Okay.
Any building built with Maiwan, you are forced to have an AC because it captures and holds heat.
Okay.
But for older buildings, if they can just put a high SRI paint, high SRI tile on their roof, There's this cool roof is a very popular
Yeah,
product
it's getting
from
very
Chennai.
popular. We've done that recently in our
Yeah, it's
roof
very
as
good.
well.
Change the glass from single pane to double pane. In
Hmm.
fact, some countries in the US, in Europe,
Hmm.
to keep cold inside, to heat inside,
Hmm.
they even have triple pane windows.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that way, between two glass, argon or some inert
Yeah.
gas or vacuum,
Yeah.
which ensures that you don't get
Yeah.
external doesn't impact internal.
Yeah.
That's
At
what it is.
extreme cold, I guess you have to have
Extreme
that.
cold also they need, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of these
So,
will help energy efficiency. After that, you do solar. Yeah.
yeah. So if someone had to compare between solar and let's say a windmill, how do you compare that?
Wind is more unpredictable.
Hmm.
Wind is fancy.
Hmm.
But it's unpredictable.
Okay.
Suhail and I've had long arguments on that.
Yeah, because he put windmills. I was
I
wondering. I
told
was
him bad
asking him
idea,
about
bad
that.
idea, bad idea. He went
Okay.
ahead with it
Yeah.
because his point is it looks good. It people understand it,
Hmm.
and I want to do something extra. I mean,
Hmm.
he comes with the right mindset of
Yeah.
wanting to do right,
Yeah.
but obviously, like any visionary, you make mistakes, and so he had that problem.
Yeah.
In the city, I wouldn't recommend. So one of the thing our platform does is it measures all this and automatically will figure out is wind even viable there.
Okay.
The
Okay.
unpredictability of wind is high.
Okay.
So
Okay.
solar
Yeah.
is the default. If anything, solar prices have constantly fallen.
Hmm.
Anybody and everybody should take solar. You maximize solar. You design your building in such a way that you expand and do more solar than less.
Okay.
Our net metering
Makes sense.
rule is good
Yeah.
enough that you can give back.
Yeah. So India is committed to having 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by
2030.
2030, and currently we're at 125,
Yeah.
right? And we're adding about 50 gigawatts every year, I think.
Yeah.
And at least that's the capacity we're auctioning.
Right.
So now, how does the economics of that work? So let's say that a company comes and bids for that energy. I mean, can at the retail level, can you actually buy energy from a private player like that, or do they have to sell it back to the government and then we buy our energy from there? How does that work?
So we have not yet come to a point where we can buy from a private agency. That
Okay.
rule should come, but I don't think it'll come before 2030.
Okay.
I mean, if it comes, great.
Hmm.
Very developed countries themselves have very few people, very few countries have it. But we could leapfrog into that. Will be a great one.
Hmm.
I doubt it'll come.
Okay.
You should still buy from public. So the private guys are pumping into the grid, which is good enough,
Okay.
right? So you
Yeah.
can set up a massive wind farm or offshore wind farm and all. You can give it to the grid. You can get
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Green tariffs have come. So you can
Hmm.
pay that little extra premium to get sustainable
Oh.
energy. So, for
Okay.
example, you use 1,000 units a day.
Okay.
So you can say that, look, I'll pay that little extra to for the 1,000 units where I'll pay green tariff. Loosely said, that's what green tariff is.
Okay.
So you can say
But you have to pay extra.
you pay a little extra
Why would you pay extra?
because setting up and all that, the capital, getting it back and all
Okay.
that. So,
Okay.
but that is falling. I think in 10 years there will not be any difference. Our
Okay.
grid is going to get more and more renewable.
Hmm.
It's not even a political thing anymore.
Hmm.
It's actually pure economics. We
Okay.
do coal, we do oil because we have existing infrastructure which we can
Yeah.
squeeze it out from.
Yeah.
Actually, it's like I used to work in telecom.
Hmm.
India and China have done a great thing.
Hmm.
America was using CDMA technology.
Hmm. Hmm.
When GSM came out, it became mature. We leapfrog CDMA
Hmm.
and got into GSM very quickly.
Hmm.
We can leapfrog. We don't have to do
Yeah.
the mistakes West has done, which we are currently doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, John was mentioning that, and talking about pollution, John was mentioning that the air quality inside a building is 5x
Yeah.
more than outside, right?
As in the bad
pol-
quality.
The bad quality
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is worse, 5x times worse. Why is that, and what do you do in terms of your design when you're working in your
Yeah, ventilation. Primary is
Okay.
ventilation. Second is the filters in your air conditioner. Are they cleaned well? Are they maintained regularly? Those are the two primary reasons.
Okay.
Definitely, we should have plants.
Okay.
There are very, very specific indoor plants which improve the air quality inside. We don't do that, and the filters don't work well enough, which is the biggest reason pollutants are stuck. So,
Oh, really? The AC filters?
yeah, AC filter.
Okay.
You need to maintain it really, really well. Be vigilant as much as your compressor and your air filter. These
How
two.
do you know? I mean, how often do you have to like clean the filter or
I might not know exactly. Depends on the usage.
Okay.
We work with a restaurant chain where every 4 weeks, or no, 6 weeks, you have to clean your filter.
Hmm.
You have to check your gas pressure every 4 weeks. But that's like they're using it for 14, 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
Offices side, we can find out,
Yeah.
but it'll be roughly like that.
Okay.
One is that. Second is ventilation. We don't now. That's a tricky thing, right? You open it, you get more pollution from outside. You
Yeah,
think,
exactly.
but
But it's
if you're
actually
in a
better
windy
outside.
area,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But if you're in a windy area, you are happy. I mean, you should
yeah,
do that.
yeah. True.
I think air quality. John is absolutely right. There are some great companies. Company called Clairco in India, which is working a lot on
Okay.
indoor air quality.
Hmm.
So most of the people would typically look at post water air coming out. Let's fill. You have all those Dyson filters
Hmm.
which are treating and purifying the air.
Hmm.
Clairco comes with a installation inside your AC,
Hmm.
and to ensure the air coming out of the AC is already treated,
Oh,
purified.
okay.
So it's a good
Nice.
company. Yeah. So
Okay.
they're around the Bangalore based
Okay.
now
That's
deploying
available in
quite
the
a bit.
market.
Yeah, yeah, you could do
Okay.
that. So something like
Okay.
so air quality is a high, and COVID has suddenly shed more and more light on
Yeah.
that, right? People are
Yeah.
suddenly very conscious about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's something worth thinking about.
Yeah.
And but grow plants, open
So,
windows.
and how do I measure what the air quality inside? Like, let's say I wanted to measure the air quality right now. How do you do that?
There are these monitors.
Okay.
They'll do.
What's it
I
called?
mean, the most
What's an example?
air quality monitoring station,
Okay.
AQM, is monitoring their devices. Now, they're small devices which can be
Okay.
your watches. Now have newer watches have air quality
Hmm.
sensors.
Okay.
These sensors will measure bunch of things. They do carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, etc. But they also do PM 2.5 particles at 2.5 size, 10. They can't do under 2.5.
Okay.
But nanoparticles that are caught.
Okay.
Then, of course, pathogens. So that HEPA filters clean it.
Hmm.
They claim they can clean 99%. These sensors also claim they can capture 99%.
Oh.
I don't know what is the real number
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of these are caught by these filters, and they're not expensive. The beauty
Okay.
is your air quality monitoring sensors are now quite cheap.
Okay.
COVID has the one good thing which has come out is the consciousness on air quality has come out.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I
True.
mean, I don't know if you know this. 7 million people die each year on air quality.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, it's like there was one talk I had to give about air, and I said it's like wiping out a Chennai every year.
Wow. Imagine.
Yeah, 7
Yeah.
million people die. India is one of the largest killer in the world.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
cancer, it's air quality.
It's air quality.
Yeah.
Imagine. So let's talk about your platform a little bit, right? Can
Hmm.
you tell us how it works? What's the input? What
Yeah.
happens?
So the problem statement we've identified is think of a builder having 10-acre piece of land and want to build 1,000 apartment. The builder would do their due diligence, come back and say, I think I can make 150 crore profit here, because they'll do their math and they'll say if I build a million square feet, I can meet a financial goal of 150 crore profit margin. So they have a goal for financial, they have a goal for how much to build. Pre 2018, there was also challenge why should I be sustainable? But where we are today, they're saying okay, I need to build sustainably. Why? It could just be mandate. Let me meet mandate. They don't like it at all, but the market is asking, their customers are asking, they start realizing USP, or, and I'm happy to say, increasingly builders are saying, I know it's somewhere I'm responsible, so let me do the right thing.
Okay.
Right? These all are coming together and they're doing. But where they're struggling is they have goals for financial, they have goals to grow, they have no goals for sustainability. So that was the first thing we identified. Today we have a patent where you come and say, I have 10 acres land, I want to build 1,000 apartments, this is a location, and what kind of apartments. We can predict and say, you could be 40% decarbonized, you could be 70% self-sufficient on water, you could be 90% self-sufficient on energy. All this is going to cost you 150 rupees per square feet.
Okay.
That instantly giving them suddenly made sustainability tangible,
And the platform does
sustainability
this
goes
automatically.
automatically.
So what's the input that goes in?
You give that basic things which I told,
Okay.
right? Under 6 minutes, you collect data.
Okay.
Additional things which we can predict, but we
Yeah.
do ask them to enter.
Okay.
How it works. So that is the first problem we figured, that we will give them goal like any of us, right? You're 35, you want to have a house. You're 40,
Yeah.
you want to have whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that, you want to build a place, we'll give you sustainability goals. The other problem is India has 2070, 2040 goals, but every company should be told, every building should contribute, right? Government cannot overnight change.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
your building
Yeah.
should have goal.
Yeah.
So we set that goal automatically. Then the whole platform is about how automatically we can help you. I mean, automated, we can help you make design decisions to achieve those goals.
What's an example?
So for 150 rupees, now you have 20,000 square feet rooftop. We ask you the question, or we can predict it. Now you as a builder, you have to make a choice on what to do under 20,000 square feet, right? You have choices. You would say, I'll put some solar PV. I'll do some solar water heating. I'll maybe do a rooftop garden and a bar there, right? What is the best combination? You have only 20,000 square feet. You want to spend maybe 50 rupees on that per square feet, right? You have to make the choice. You don't know. and on top of it there's policy requirements. There's now if you want to work on energy, you should do solar PV. If you want to work on carbon, you should do solar water heating, because solar water heating is more efficient carbon wise than all these decisions are there. Builder is sitting, they have 4 vendors coming and knocking on their door saying, sir, do full solar PV, do solar water. We come in and say, we are on your side. A platform is able to calculate and say, for your city, your policy requirement and weather pattern there and the kind of customer target audience you have, I recommend 40% of your rooftop to be solar PV, 20% to be solar water heating, and the other 30% you could actually have a rooftop garden and walking around. This way, the thermal heat gain is reduced by so much. Your capital outlay is about 75 rupees, and your customer saves about whatever 75 paise per square feet on a monthly. Okay. So that information they're lacking. We make every decision in energy, water waste, material towards efficiency in energy, water waste, and decarbonizing operational carbon and embodied carbon. We give all this automated, including telling you which vendor, which material, what is the size also. Okay. Okay. So because all this, now we have worked with almost 15 point odd million square feet and more than 55, 60
And how many builders?
right? About 45 odd builders we worked, right? So that gave us so much information. Our marketplace today has more than 3,000 material. So today our platform can tell
So
you.
you sell the material also on the platform?
We don't sell. We don't do the financial.
you just-
Today is a
just-
database where we
Okay.
list it. It's a listing
Yeah.
place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We can tell you between a Athankudi tile to vitrified tile to ceramic tile to a marble tile to a bamboo FSC certified wood, which is the most sustainable for your geography for your project, and how much will it cost? Who's the vendor?
Got it. So you work with the MEP consultants, the landscape architect. I
Yeah,
mean, you work with all of them, or do you
Yes.
come post?
So platform will do basically all this.
Okay.
Then some builders, I mean, more builders, and now we are seeing slowly it reducing, but increasingly builders will say platform is great. Now we get the numbers. They instantly get numbers. Now nuance design, that is detailing of that. My team will then work with the MEP consultant, architect, landscape artist, and say, okay, in the space available, the STP we're going to make it L shape here because space is not available to be able to create in a way where the water is maximum use. That our design team will do extra work and work with them.
Okay.
But they quickly know the size, they'll know the cost and all. The designing we do.
So the revenue model of this, right? Let's say we put all this into
the license and then the services have a
the license and the services. That's a
Yeah.
one-time cost, or it's an ongoing? Because it's a one-time thing,
one time
right?
per
You're telling-
project.
Per project.
Happy path is eventually I'm hoping, and India is a tricky thing, but the from project budget can this all go to the IT budget of the company, right?
Huh.
So meaning what I mean by that is today they pay per project. For this project, I'm doing a new project, so Sriram will pay you for license and for service.
Okay.
It's over, right?
Got it.
The project is done, we are done. We get
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah.
But what should happen is now we're talking to big builders are willing to one or two are testing
And
with us.
they're doing projects all the time.
They're
so
doing
you
all
can
the time.
integrate
So-
it at the technology level itself.
Exactly.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's the sweet spot. But we also realize a challenge, right? India has people who do multiple projects a year is a much smaller, like 35% of the industry.
Yeah.
65% industry are onesie, right?
Yeah.
They get one piece of land, work on it for 20 months,
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
get the second
and
piece
then
of
do the
land.
second. I
So
know.
they're not willing to do it.
Yeah.
But we're okay. But either way, we want to influence them. That's just a revenue model thing.
Yeah. So you also had a gamification app. When you
Yeah.
started.
So
Tell us about
gamification as a theory has not left.
Yeah.
Actually, even in the platform today, we do nudge, right? How we say we have this location based insight. We're able to tell that in 5 kilometer radius of your project, there's so many IGBC projects.
Okay.
In so many in 5 kilometer radius, we are able to tell you that so many people have increased their green space. So many people use eco STP, not SBR.
Okay.
So that's nudge. That in a weird way we are using
Where can I see this? I mean,
on a platform.
on the platform
Yeah,
itself.
when you log in, you put your
Okay.
project details.
Okay.
We have something called location based insights.
But the plot platform is not freely available. If I wanted to just log in and check, is it?
Yeah,
or does
for
it
you,
have
it's
to
for
be?
builders, right?
It's for
so
the
based on
builders,
it's a B2B thing, so
Yeah, it's a
they
B2B
come
thing. Yeah.
enterprise thing. So when they come in,
Yeah.
they give. But our aim is early next year we should have to anybody. You have an independent house, you want to do it, we'll give it to you for free that time.
Oh,
That's the aim. For
so
individual
it'll be
users,
like a freemium model.
it's a freemium model. Yeah, you'll be
Okay.
able to do basic customization and all on your own. Marketplace is already available for free. You can go see products.
Okay.
We don't charge anything for people to use.
Where do I go see this?
sdplus.io/marketplace,
Okay.
and you have access to it.
Okay.
I truly believe gamification is going to be the way forward. Sustainability gamification, go ahead. I just didn't have, like I said, couldn't go ahead with B2C at that time. and now also there are folks trying. The challenging thing there is making it financially a model, a business which will
Yeah.
work. And I think there are ways. We just stepped away from it. We think into later parts of next year or into 26, we might pick it up again. A model is ready. I think the approach is fairly mature. Gamification is very important because inherently competitive spirit is there in all of us. If I tell you that 10 others are doing this, the chances that you will do is much higher. Then I just say, hey, why don't you do this?
Yeah, yeah,
It's all of us.
absolutely.
Any
But
business,
will I pay
individual.
to do it? Maybe not. So
You don't
then,
need to pay also, right? I
yeah,
mean, if and 9 of them are paying extra, you'll also pay extra.
yeah,
I mean, there's proof. Textile and food are the two leading examples of uh, sustainable products costing more and people willing to pay. I think there's a statistic in Western world that 15% higher premium people pay comfortably for sustainable clothing. And people in their
is this
youth
for organic
under
food?
30,
Huh.
clothing is
Clothing.
15% higher. Food, I don't know statistic. Clothing, I know there's a 15% increase they're willing to pay. And under 30 folks are happy to spend that extra for food and clothing. It's a
Hmm.
matter of time they'll pay for housing and automobile. EVs
Yeah,
are going because they're more expensive. EV is not cheaper.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
every industry, they are willing to spend a little extra money
Hmm.
for a more sustainable future.
Hmm.
Why would they not spend on real estate? If I'm buying a house, if
Hmm.
I'm told, well, that you spend at 50 rupees extra, you pay.
Hmm.
Builder will spend whatever, right?
Hmm.
That your house will be sustained. They will pay.
And plus, they will save on their
Yeah.
ongoing. I mean, that's the
So it's
other
a
incentive.
no-brainer. The
Yeah,
proof that Smarter Dharma
they'll have
survived
water at
and
least.
thrived in the last 3 years
Yeah,
is a proof that that works.
yeah,
We raised only money last year.
yeah.
Before that, we were doing well, and people are more builders and more buyers are liking it.
So let's talk about that. The funding. How did that happen? Because you were bootstrapped for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. And the theory, and I'm happy I did that, is
Hmm.
because we spend when we were meeting investors or potential investors, uh, I would always tell you can't compare us to other, young chaps who come up with a great idea to build a tech. We spent donkey's years on building our knowledge. So we're very
Yeah.
good. Immodestly, our knowledge on buildings and sustainability is extremely high. Our team, right? So we did that. Then when we realized now scale is critical, we have a crazy goal of 1 billion tons of carbon. If you have
Hmm.
to do that, technology is a scaling agent.
Hmm.
Policy will help us normalize.
Hmm.
To do build tech, that's when we realized if you have to build tech, tech is expensive.
Hmm.
Now we'll raise money. So we took that much
Okay.
time to raise. We just
Okay.
didn't go out day one to say raise money.
So
So
the
we bootstrapped.
platform was because of. I mean, you decided to raise money because of the platform to build out the
Yes.
platform.
Otherwise, on just if we were only a consulting company, we were fine financially.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
moment we realized we have to build tech,
Yeah.
thanks to tech industry, which is pretty expensive, so
Yeah.
we realized that we need to now raise money. So we raised money,
Yeah.
and we got great investors. The very first company I ever met to reach out was Rainwater, and they
Okay.
became the lead investor.
Okay.
Rainwater Foundation is phenomenal. My interactions with them during the closing, I mean, initial days to now every month has been an incredibly good. And
Yeah.
they come, they said, tell us how much you would mitigate. And in our parameters of our success also was, okay, so many tons of carbon we will impact
Hmm.
over the next 12 months.
So are they also looking at an exit like a traditional VC? How do they think
They
and
said
how
we
do
are
they
with you for the
operate?
long haul.
Okay.
They've been saying that, and now we work a lot on. They also, I consider myself as Sriram, not Smart, as a ecosystem player because I see that if we are able to empower and help other organize, that's when we'll make a difference. So they also work with me on that. So a lot of the other startups they talk to when
Okay.
they're looking at or advising other startups, they take me there, and I also
Okay.
work with them. So I love that relationship.
Yeah.
The second lead was Gruhas,
Yeah.
which is a partner to Rainmatter
Abhishek
in a
Pai
bunch of
and
things,
yeah.
Abhijit Pai.
Yeah.
And they've also been very good. They've been very understanding when I said carbon. And they told me that, look, you work on carbon, you mitigate carbon, real estate, great. Now make money also. And I said, great.
Exactly. That's what I
And
thought
that
because Bruhas is
combination,
more traditional.
so
Yeah.
it was perfect combination.
Yeah.
The two leads, one is talking money,
Yeah.
real estate, one is talking carbon, real estate. So it was a good triumvirate for me.
So Rainmat is not bothered about the revenue part of it, or
No, they're bothered, but they
okay.
don't. They're asking, hey, how's the model? Will this model help you scale impact? They ask.
Hmm.
They ask that question very
Questions are
categorically the way.
different. Yeah.
But they're not saying, look, do go become an NGO, right?
Yeah.
They're saying, and they believe, and one of the things which has come out of the whole funding model also,
Hmm.
I started understanding that if we are financially successful, anyway, make high impact. And so that was
Of
a
course.
nice learning for
Yeah.
me also, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have deep, our values are very activistic,
Yeah.
but we're much more business-like and professional in the way we do.
Hmm. So, what is your long-term goal?
Uh, yeah, like I said, I think for me, if every one of us, when you're buying a pair of jeans, when getting a coffee, if one of your parameter is sustainability, I think we'll be in a better place. And can we be the catalyst in influencing that? Has been what drove me to start Smarter Dharma. When I came to India, I didn't find any company doing that. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I don't say it lightly. I never wanted to set up a company of my own. But thanks to my wife who said, don't compromise. You quit a nice job in Silicon Valley. Why do you want to compromise? Do what you like. And that's when I thought, okay, I'll start Smarter Dharma, right? So
Yeah.
I think that is my vision. I think real estate industry is just the first use case. We have a lot more. We set ourselves a bold goal. We want to mitigate 1 billion tons of carbon with a bunch of partners. I think we can. I'm very gung-ho and very pumped about it. This fundraise was a lot shot in the arm, right? You realize
Oh.
that you can do a lot more, and
Yeah.
the network and capability to go speak and tell others.
Hmm.
I see myself as an influencer like that. I think
Hmm.
I am influencer as another meaning only these days, but
Yeah.
I think I have a capability to be a catalyst in the space, and
Okay.
that's what I want to do. That's what Smartism is a big part of the journey. But yeah, 1 billion tons of carbon.
So that's a goal of a climate unicorn, like you were saying.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we should do, right? We can't. If we are going to talk about become $1 billion company, it's all Excel sheets.
Hmm. Hmm.
There's no in climate.
Yeah.
In climate, I'm saying others are
Yeah.
probably. But that you don't want to just be rich and we are struggling, right?
Hmm.
I think if the financial model, just for a few seconds, I'll talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
If the financial model is more holistic and we
Hmm.
look at influence and impact and everything,
Hmm.
uh, uh, then with all those guardrails and structure put together, then you say become $1 billion company.
Hmm.
You'll also be socially and environmentally good.
Hmm.
You can be. I don't think it's not. Like I
It's
said,
not contradictory.
it's not contradictory. Proof is, like I said, food and textile industry because customers are willing to pay extra.
Hmm.
Who's not going to do something good if it's good for them and good
Good
for
for
the
their
environment
future,
and
their
good for the
children,
future?
and
It's the same with the real estate. It's same with any industry in
but that's
sustainability.
that's interesting, right? Because how do you tell a real estate developer, and you're saying they're doing that hey, maybe you might have to take a hit on your short-term profits, but do what's good for the longer haul.
It's not just the short-term profit. They're not anymore compromising. They also realize they don't need to because we have one of our client, Brigade Utopia project is the first in the country I know on your cost sheet where you have pool facing 25 rupees per square feet, 11th floor 10 rupees per square feet.
Hmm.
They have green fee 50 rupees per square feet.
Hmm.
They are asking the customer, it's sold out. It's
Hmm.
sold out,
Hmm.
and customers are happy. I met about 50 odd of them recently.
Okay.
They ask questions. They're not sitting happy that they spend.
Hmm.
They ask the questions and I
Hmm.
explain and they were happy with that. They said,
Yeah.
this is good, then can we set up the RO and get our water self-sufficiency?
Hmm.
That maturity customers have. I
Hmm.
would always tell builders, don't expect the customer to be unintelligent. They're bloody
Hmm.
intelligent.
I know.
You give them that respect, give them the value, you'll get value
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my thing is, if that comes in, if you build your business model around that idea,
Hmm.
we can all become a climate unicorn together. The
Yeah.
idea that one single company will go on to become a $1 billion company,
Yeah.
it might, but it will not make any impact. But if all of us get together, I think we can.
Yeah.
That's the aim. I want to
Yeah.
be a influencer catalyst in that.
Right now, it's more lip service to sustainability for a
Yeah.
lot of businesses, but that has to change.
And it is moved already from a little lip service to the next step where they're unsure what to do, so they're just doing randomly something.
Hmm.
Companies are no more. I think
Yeah.
greenwashing, we've kind of pulled the rug under it. A lot of
Hmm.
us, at least in developed world and parts of
Yeah.
India also.
Hmm.
The trouble is now you meet those chief sustainability officers, they genuinely want to do something.
Hmm.
They just don't know what. They're
Hmm.
stuck on what to do. Folks like us have to go sit with them and say, you could do these 10 things. It's a start.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic about the world that way. I
Yeah.
doubt, I don't think apocalypse will happen.
I think Suhail had mentioned once we need a lot more smarter dharmas
Great. I should
in the
go buy
world.
lunch for Suhail now. No, but I'm very positive about it.
Yeah.
I'm not negative about it. I feel world will go to a better place, not worse.
Any further closing thoughts?
Yeah, I would. There's a podcast I follow quite often, and they always ask this question. At the end, the speaker has to give any three books. So I would I would want to recommend a couple of books to your
Sure,
audience.
sure.
One is a book called Ecotopia.
Okay.
Ecotopia by Dr. Kallenbach.
Okay.
Imagine he wrote in 1976 about his ideal world,
Okay.
which we see today, which is composting,
Yeah.
cycle lanes, the bus stand having green on top so that it is cooled down. So, without delving too deep into this book, it's a fiction about a future world, but something which happens in the US. Obviously, as a professor in the States,
Okay.
he wrote. I think anybody now also should read. It's one of those really good books.
Okay.
I recommend that. I would definitely recommend a book called Lives Per Gallon by a guy called Terry Tamminen. This
Okay.
is a book about the connection between climate change and health.
Okay.
And understanding that is critical, because then the financial model can, I think, correct itself.
Okay.
I think that is another good book I would recommend.
And the third one?
Third one is Growth Without Prosperity.
Growth Without
I forget the
Prosperity.
author.
Okay.
I think it's he's obviously
What's it about?
very
Yeah.
very extreme in the thought, but I think there's a middle path, obviously, right? He's saying this, what we were talking earlier, right? There is a more holistic way of looking at your financial model, and there are enough proofs and examples to do that. Growth doesn't mean just money. Growth is ultimately, there are enough, I'm sure you know, the richest are not the happiest.
Yeah.
Right? So can we define better growth? And to me, my learning was, can we redefine success? If we do that, we'll still be financially happy. We'll be more than comfortable, but we'll also make a difference. So those are three books.
Okay. Sounds good. And thanks so much for joining us. Hope you have been enjoying our podcast. At Property Angel, our mission is to make real estate affairs safe, simple, and efficient. And that is why we bring you these podcasts, to empower the consumer so you have the right information. We are an asset management company. You can outsource your landlord responsibilities to us, including tenant management aspects, maintenance, rent collection, financial management, and all of that. If you have any such requirements, please do reach out to our team. Please do also like, share, and subscribe. If there's anything specific you would like to listen to, please do leave it in the comment box below. Thank you for tuning in.